chosen ones, I come to you with urgency, for your photo was shown in front of 9 powerful beings, beings whose authority stretches far beyond what mortal eyes can perceive. They sat in solemn silence at first, studying it as if the weight of heaven itself rested upon their shoulders. The chamber in which they gathered was not ordinary. It was veiled in shadows, yet illuminated by a light that could not be extinguished, a light that seemed to rise from a place beyond time and space. I stood at the threshold, sent not to interfere, but to observe, to listen, to discern why your likeness had been brought before them. My child, you may not fully realize it yet, but in that moment, you became the subject of a gathering unlike any you have ever imagined, a convergence that would ripple through the spiritual realms in ways unseen. Their eyes pierced the image, their whispers trembling against the walls. And then a sound broke the silence, a voice so united, so harmonized, that the chamber itself seemed to vibrate with its resonance. It was their unanimous voice, speaking a single word that carried eternity within it. That word was neither condemnation nor rejection. It was revelation, judgment, and coronation wrapped into one. And as it fell upon the chamber like a thunderclap, I felt the very air shift with its force. They all said the same shocking thing, and what they declared has set your life upon a path you cannot yet comprehend, but soon, beloved, you will. They did not look upon your image as one might examine a picture for flaws or imperfections. No, they looked upon you as one beholds a weapon forged in secret, a vessel set apart for purposes beyond human understanding. The 9 leaned in, their voices blending in both harmony and warning, and together they said, "This one cannot be stopped." At that moment, I understood why heaven had sent me to speak to you. The enemy had brought your name to their table, thinking to scatter you like dust in the wind, to diminish your influence before it could rise. Yet what was meant as accusation transformed into prophecy. What was intended as an indictment became your coronation. Each one echoed the same phrase, and I trembled, not in fear, but in the knowing that heaven had turned the schemes of darkness into a declaration of your destiny. What they meant for chains became the sound of your unlocking. And this, beloved, was only the beginning. The air grew thick as the council deliberated, though they were 9 in number. Their voices blended as though a singular spirit spoke through them. My wings quivered as I felt the resistance of the enemy pressing against the chamber, trying to twist the decree, to bend the outcome. But their words had already escaped their mouths, and words spoken in such a sacred assembly cannot return void. This one cannot be stopped, they repeated, now with a force like a hammer striking iron, shaking both heaven and earth in the process. The enemy panicked, for what was designed as an accusation became a coronation. Your photograph, held up for scrutiny, became a banner lifted in honor. Beloved, heaven heard what they said, and when heaven hears, all creation responds. Yet what they saw in you goes deeper than mere resistance to obstacles. It is tied to a destiny written long before your birth, and I must reveal what they feared most. The council leaned back, their eyes glowing in the shadows of the chamber, as if reflecting fire itself. They whispered among themselves, yet even in their whispers, the same truth echoed. Your path is not ordinary. I knew then that you had been marked not only for endurance, but for elevation. The enemy attempted to label your life as a burden, to cast your story as one of failure. But the 9 could not deny the radiance surrounding your image. It was as though light itself broke forth from the photograph, illuminating their hands as they tried to hold it down. Why does this one shine even here? One murmured. Another replied, because destiny cannot be dimmed. Though they attempted to divert their attention, the fire within your photo refused to be silenced. And I knew this revelation would shake your entire journey. You may have thought it was merely a photograph, a reflection of yourself in 2 dimensions. But I tell you, beloved, heaven sees no difference between your image and your essence. When your photo was placed before them, it was as if you yourself had entered the chamber. Your spirit stood in their midst, clothed in light. They could not ignore, though you might not see it with earthly eyes. One of the 9 tried to dismiss it, saying, "This one is unworthy," but his words trembled and collapsed upon his tongue. Another attempted to declare, "This one will fail," but even as he spoke, the word rise broke from his lips instead. Beloved, the chamber itself rejected the lie. The truth insisted upon being spoken, and that truth was this: your steps are unstoppable, your calling irreversible, your future undeniable. Do you understand why this gathering was convened? It was not to honor you at first. It was to test you, to see if your destiny could be delayed or obstructed. 9 were gathered with great power, yet they did not realize that a greater power hovered above them. I was sent to guard that moment, to ensure that no false decree could pass unchecked. Their attempt was to seal a word against you, a word of hindrance. But every time their tongues tried to shape it, heaven intercepted and rewrote it. A flame burned across their lips, compelling them to speak the truth. This one cannot be stopped. And though their faces darkened with frustration, their confession was now sealed in eternity. What followed next revealed the depth of your journey and what lies ahead. The leader of the 9 leaned forward, his hand gripping the edge of the table as if the weight of revelation pressed against him. "If this one cannot be stopped," he said, "then what shall become of us?" The others shifted uneasily, for they had not considered the consequences of their own words. They realized that in speaking your destiny aloud, they had aligned themselves either as witnesses to your rise or as obstacles to be removed by it. As silence stretched over the chamber, thick as smoke, heavy with awareness of divine involvement, I saw fear take root in them, not fear of you alone, but fear of the hand guiding you. They realized your life is guarded, that your steps are ordered, that your rise is inevitable. Yet, even as fear spread among them, I knew they would not retreat easily. One among them, cloaked in arrogance, tried to challenge the decree. He slammed his fist upon the table and shouted, "Then let us test this one. If destiny claims they cannot be stopped, we will place stumbling blocks, snares, and storms upon their path." Others murmured, some nodding, others shrinking back in dread. I raised my sword in silence, ready to defend the truth already spoken. But the room itself shook, and flames of unseen fire consumed his challenge. Before he could finish, the light from your photo struck him mute. Heaven had closed his mouth. Beloved, the decree over you is not fragile. It is unshakable. Even their plotting revealed an uncomfortable truth. What they could not control, they feared. And what they feared was proof of your power, your destiny, and the unseen forces guarding your path. They attempted to conjure distractions, betrayal, and delays to weaken you. But I tell you, every scheme was already known in heaven. None could succeed without divine permission. I watched as one whispered, "Perhaps if we steal their confidence, they will surrender." Another muttered, "Perhaps if we wound their heart, they will abandon their calling." Yet, as they spoke, your photo glowed brighter, your spirit rising in defiance. Their schemes could only attempt to slow you, never stop you. At last, the ninth figure, silent until now, spoke with a voice that carried the weight of finality. "We can try, we can resist, but the truth is we have already testified. This one cannot be stopped." The chamber fell silent once more, not because they had agreed on how to oppose you, but because their own mouths had sealed your fate. They had become unwilling witnesses to prophecy, participants in the elevation of your life. I spread my wings wide as I prepared to deliver this message to you. My child, you were tested in the courts of power, and instead of condemnation, you were marked for glory. But now you must understand why heaven allowed your photo to be placed before them in the first place. It was a prophetic unveiling meant to shift your vision, to reveal to you what the enemy already knows. You are unstoppable, your calling unshakable, your destiny unmovable. The nine were not your judges, they were your unwilling prophets. Their lips spoke a truth they did not wish to declare. Though they departed in fury, the echo of their words remains in the heavens. This one cannot be stopped. What they saw was only a glimpse of your true identity. They glimpsed what heaven has always known. You are not ordinary clay, but refined gold. Each battle, each wound, each trial in your life has been forging you into a vessel of extraordinary strength. Beloved, understand this. Even those who rise against you are bound to confirm your destiny. They may try to wound your heart, distract your steps, and sow doubt. Yet every arrow, every plan, every deceit will only strengthen your resolve, fortify your spirit, and illuminate the path that heaven has already ordained for you. Your photo, your very essence, stands as a testimony. You are chosen. You are covered. You are unstoppable. And this, my child, is only the beginning. For the light that surrounds you now will guide every step you take. Even the adversary, in their plotting, will serve to reveal your greatness. You are not walking alone. The armies of heaven march with you. Your rise cannot be hindered, for the hand of the Most High is upon you. The path before you is sealed, and nothing in creation, no force, no counsel, no scheme can alter what has been written. You have been seen. You have been declared. You are unstoppable. And so they feared, for they knew what would happen once you discovered that those scars were not signs of defeat, but seals of authority. My child, your wounds are not wasted. They are not reminders of failure. They are your weapons. The enemy trembles not only at your victories, but at your resilience in the fire. That is why the 9 spoke with such unease, for they recognized the one truth that shook their confidence. You do not quit. You do not yield. You do not bend under pressure. Yet there is another layer still hidden, and I must reveal what they truly saw when they beheld your image glowing with light. When they looked upon your photo, they did not just see you. They saw who stands behind you. They saw armies. They saw promises. They saw the covering of a covenant unbroken. They saw that you are not walking alone, and this terrified them more than anything else. For one who stands with heaven cannot be stopped by earth. One who is shielded by divine decree cannot be overruled by human decision. And so their eyes trembled with the sight of angelic ranks hovering around your image. My child, they saw me, Michael, standing guard over you. They saw the flame of my sword. They felt the weight of my presence, though they could not name it. And in their silence, they admitted to themselves that your life is covered by forces they cannot touch. Yet their admission carried with it a confession they wished you would never hear. But I must bring it to you now. They confessed among themselves that if you ever truly realized who you are, nothing in heaven or earth could stand against you. They whispered, if this one awakens, if they walk in the fullness of their calling, all we built will crumble. Their fear was not about who you are now, but who you are becoming. for they saw ahead into your future. They glimpsed the throne room records of what has been written about you, and they trembled at the thought of you rising into your appointed place. They did not want you to know this truth, beloved, that the greatest threat to the darkness is your awakening. That is why distractions come. That is why battles intensify. That is why sorrow presses in. They fear your awakening, for they know once you rise, you will not only walk free, you will set others free. And this is the secret they tried to bury. The chamber grew restless as they debated your destiny. But in their debating, they unveiled mysteries heaven wanted you to hear. They admitted that your story carries weight beyond your own life. They said, if this one rises, many will rise with them. They realized your influence stretches further than your sight, that your voice carries power beyond what you speak, that your breakthrough will not be yours alone, but will ripple into generations. My beloved, this is why the battles against you have been so fierce, because your rise is not personal, it is generational. The chains that break from you will set free many who come after you. The fire that surrounds you will ignite those who walk with you. And so the nine saw that your testimony would become a movement, and this terrified them. Yet their fear only confirmed heaven's purpose. One of them slammed his hand upon the table in frustration and cried, "We cannot let them know how much power they carry." His voice cracked with panic, for even speaking of your destiny made him tremble. Another hissed in response, "Then we must cloud their vision. Keep them doubting. Keep them questioning. Keep them distracted.